Hello, this video is on 1920s technology and its effects, looking at how technology, transportation, communication, electrification all changed in the 1920s and influenced society. So first, technology extended progress into all areas of American life. You can see a lot of examples of new technology that was coming about during this time, from elevators to motion picture projectors to automobiles to light bulbs, typewriters, phonographs, telephones, and even motor-powered planes. You'll see a lot of the dates are before the 1920s, but it's not until the 1920s that all of these are going to become widespread, especially into neglected rural areas. We're going to see a lot more rural areas get electricity, and that's going to just spread the use of new technology. So let's start by talking about transportation. This is all the result of improved transportation brought about by affordable automobiles. As you can see in the chart, cars became more and more affordable and more people were buying cars, from just about 2 million in 1920 to more than doubling by 1929, where it was up to 4.5 million cars. So this idea of having affordable automobiles is definitely going to change things. And we're going to see four major changes. First, greater mobility. People are going to be able to travel to new places that they couldn't visit before. It's going to result in a lot of people going on longer distance vacations, and then everybody needing to set up ways to help people out on their vacations, from restaurants to hotels to roads, and eventually this is going to lead to the interstate highways that we have today, but that won't be until after World War II. Another thing is it's going to create jobs. More and more people are going to want cars, and then you've got to pay all those people at the gas stations, at the restaurants, at the hotels. Definitely going to help out a lot of people. We're going to see the growth of transportation related industries, and we're going to give you a few examples here as we go through. So, some examples include road construction, oil, steel, and making automobiles. A fourth major impact of affordable automobiles is that people are going to move out to suburban areas. Now that you have a car, you can travel further, faster. So if you want to live outside of the city, you can, and still travel in to work there. That's the way a lot of people, especially folks in Northern Virginia, do it today. Another major transportation change was the airplane. Now, this was invented by the Wright brothers. They made the first motorized airplane on December 17th, 1903. We talked about this in our World War I unit, so we know that they were being used then, but we're going to really see, forgive the pun, aircraft travel take off once we get into the 1920s. One of the heroes of the 1920s is a guy named Charles Lindbergh. He was the first person to fly alone across the Atlantic Ocean from New York to Paris landing on May 20th, 1927. His airplane was named the Spirit of St. Louis. It took him about 33 hours to make the trip. Another famous individual is Amelia Earhart. She was the first woman to fly across the U.S. from New York to California, and later she would make the flight from California out to Hawaii. Really impressive what the two of them were able to do, and because this was so new, they became instant celebrities. Here you can see Earhart's trek across the Atlantic Ocean and Lindbergh's trek as well. Now, all of this came about because of the use of the assembly line. Henry Ford invented the conveyor belt that's going to help make the assembly line possible and more productive. This is going to lower production costs. And by lowering these production costs, you can sell things for more cheaply and make them available to more people. Okay, so we started out with transportation. Now let's look at communication changes. Got a couple things going here. First, increase availability of telephones. Now you can contact people over longer distances, hear their voice, have better conversations. We have the development of the radio. At first, people really weren't sure what to make of it, and today it's one of those inventions we can barely live without. This was invented by a guy named Marconi, and here you see him with his early wireless apparatus in 1896. The broadcast industry is going to be developed by a guy named David Sarnoff, and in 1920, RCA, the manufacturers of radios, are going to put up $2,500 to explore his idea of radio broadcasting. In other words, of setting up stations that people can listen to. And finally, the third major communication change is the development of movies by Thomas Edison. He created the movie projector or movie machine. Originally, it was intended to help people learn how to do industrial tasks, but obviously, the entertainment portion of it is much more popular today. Finally, we're going to look at ways that electrification changed American life. Now, electrification is the process of getting electricity out to individual households and giving people the chance to use electronic devices. So the first thing we're going to see labor-saving machines, such as washing machines, electric stoves, and water pumps. We're going to see electric lighting by Thomas Edison, making a huge difference in the way that people live. He invented the first light bulb in October of 1879. Third thing, we're going to see entertainment, as mentioned, through radio and the movies. You can see how quickly radios took off from not many families, I'm pretty sure this is millions, all the way up to over 10 million families by the time we get to 1929. Until the late 1920s, people are going to watch what are called silent movies, or movies with no talking, where they display the words up on the screen. And it wasn't until 1927 that talkies, or movies with sound, started. The first movie with sound was called The Jazz Singer, and the first cartoon with sound was called Steamboat Willie. That's it for the notes. Thanks for listening.